That now has us handling everything on our agenda here except for item number 66. We're not going to take any action on this till after dinner. Do we want to see if anybody is here to speak on it now and give them a chance to do that if they wish? We're going to pick up item number 66 after dinner. But keeping with our custom, do we want to ask people, if someone is here to speak and wants to speak now, do we give them that chance to do that? Is anybody here that wants to speak now on item number 66? Come on up, sir. What's your name, sir?
Let me pull that file up. I wasn't ready to talk about that until way later. Nope. Sorry, okay. So,
introduce yourself, please.
I'm Brian Register. This resolution is a civic humiliation. It begins, the city of Austin is committed to undoing its racist past and combating and denouncing racism in present-day Austin. The city of Austin is committed to no such thing. The city of Austin has warm feelings about ending racism. If you're actually committed to something, people can tell because you'll be following through on the commitment instead of loudly asserting that you have the commitment. There is an inverse correlation between your need to tell us how committed you are and how committed you actually are. So please strike that dishonest clause from the resolution when you pass it. Then there are these 9 whereas clauses that bring no new information to the table, 2 whereas clauses about the newly discovered fact that members of APD use bad language, and then 4 more whereas clauses that again bring no new information to the table. What this means is that the substantive racism that we already knew about and could list in 13 whereas clauses did not warrant this resolution, but now that we know about bad words, we can all agree that something has to be done. But you already knew everything really important, so what were you waiting for? The reason that racial slurs, especially the N-word, are genuinely harmful is that they are threats. To use this forbidden word is implicitly to bring to bear the entire history of white supremacy, the entire apparatus of casual and institutionalized violence against black people. This is why black people don't hurt one another by using it, because there's no implicit threat, and why there are no damaging anti-white slurs, because there's no tradition of burning white people alive to put us in our places. What this means is that you're responding to the threat of white supremacist violence, but you haven't been responding to the reality of it. It's if you didn't mind someone running through town pummeling people, but as soon as he threatens to do it, then you suddenly take notice. This is absurd, so please hang your heads in shame, pass the damn resolution, ask what in the hell is wrong with our city that this is how we prioritize the safety of our citizens. Thank you.
Is anybody else here that wants to speak on item 66 now? Come on down. You have time donated from Jeanette Danovich. Is she here?
Yeah, she's here.
You have 5 minutes.
Susan Spataro. One of the main statutory responsibilities of municipal government is public safety. And that, of course, is primarily our police force. So to me, it's an extremely important issue for every single person that lives here, whatever part of town you live in. Safety in terms of criminal behavior, and also with the traffic situation, the patrolling of streets make a difference on lives. And so this is a very significant issue. It looks to me, from having read media, that what we have here is a personnel issue. It probably has to be dealt with. And there are undocumented accusations. I don't think any of us should say, based on that, we have a police department that is totally in disarray. It is an affront to the men and women that serve this community in the police department. It is an affront for citizens like me, I'm just a regular person, that want a protection or a lawful society. If you look at our police department, we've got a chief that is very well respected in the community. They have internal controls. They have body cameras, we have vehicle cameras, we have an oversight committee, and we have a police monitor. And now we have an investigation, and that's not enough. To me, that is incredible overkill. And to say that you're not going to hire any more police or stop when we're short already, I just don't understand it, and I don't understand the motive of it. All of us will be losing protection. And I read the article this morning where when you froze, I guess you would say, the firefighters, that there was an increased cost because of overtime. So what you're doing to this community, if you pass this, is you are increasing the crime, reducing protection at an increased cost. And I think that is so unacceptable. But worse than that is we're getting in this community to be so heavily identified with identity politics. The divisiveness and discrimination is, to me, intolerable. When you look at the backup to this agenda, I think it paints a picture of a community that y'all have made up. I mean, I came in here with a group of people who had never been here before a couple of months ago, and they were appalled at the racist, discriminatory content coming off this dais. And I guess I've gotten hardened to it. But it is offensive. It's offensive to everyone here. It is not good for anyone, especially children. I think that if you are, and I read this, I guess, in the backup.
Finish your thought.
Okay. If you are going to look at every activity of the police department, I would say you need to do it for the whole city, including yourselves.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak on this item 66? That said, it is yes.
I just wanted to mention that I'm working on some amendments that I hope will be amenable, but I'm doing it as fast as I can, and I will post it as soon as I'm able. But we've been in meeting all day, so.
If you have a chance to post them, that'd be great. I would urge everybody to come back down here at 5:30. Andrea Dawson's going to be bringing a little music into the chamber. We have a few proclamations. Doesn't look like we have a lot, so it looks like probably 6:30 is something that we ought to be able to do to reconvene. Councilmember Harper-Madison.
I was just going to say to my colleague, so Councilmember Alter, I know legal is working on the latest iteration as we speak. So I just wonder, and maybe you can help too, should her amendments go directly to legal or?
I would suggest that Councilmember Alter have whatever amendment she's working on, maybe post them on the board between now and 6:30 if possible, and then assuming the dais wants to incorporate them, we can do it at that time.
Okay.
We're already working with legal. So,
Oh, okay.
That would be the normal way that we like to talk to legal before we bring them. So we
Got it.
Always a good idea.
And Mayor, if I may, I'd just like to offer a couple points of clarification after our last speaker. It wasn't the city of Austin that stopped the cadet classes for fire. It was the Department of Justice. It was a federal stoppage of those classes. And I think it's important to note that. Additionally, I'd like to note, if you read any article that's been written in the last 2 days or watch any news report that's been broadcast with an interview that was conducted by me, I've said time and time and time and time again, we are not talking about halting cadet classes. I've said it multiple times. There are people for whom it's beneficial to say that I said that. So there are 3 classes for 2020, February, June, September. The clarity that will be offered as we deliberate this evening, February class, not interrupted at all. October class, not interrupted at all. So we normally have 2 classes. Next year, we're going ambitious because we are short. So those 3 classes, that's abnormal. So the 2 classes we would always normally have are going to happen. Don't listen to misinformation. The only class that's potentially in any jeopardy of not happening is the June class, but we'd all like very much to see the June class happen too. We just need to have some benchmarks met. So I really hope that we all get to see 3 classes happen in 2020.
Sounds good. Yes, Councilmember Tovo.
Just a quick question for my colleague. Councilmember Harper-Madison, you said you're working with legal on the latest iteration. When you say latest iteration, that's the one that you distributed this morning and posted on the message board?
That's mostly it. There were some slight adjustments that were made throughout the course of the afternoon.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you could also post that as soon as that's ready, that'd be great too.
You bet.
People might look at it before they come back down. Councilmember Alter.
I was going to ask this later, but I think it might be helpful because you might, depending on your answer, it might be helpful for each of us to think about it over the break. I wanted to get some clarification on page 5 for part 1 about officer and supervisor communications, including all public posts on social media platforms that are available to the investigator, city email, text messages, and instant message communications on city devices within the last 5 years. So what I'd like to understand better is kind of the scope of what you're talking about. So having worked on the sexual assault contract over the last 9 months, and it was really important that we had a lot of clarity on exactly what we meant. And I'm trying to understand if we're looking for sort of particular words via an algorithm and all of those things, or are we actually asking that individual, like we're hiring people to read through everything and determine what's racist or not racist, because they're very different sort of scopes and resources involved. And I'm just wondering if you could clarify what you meant by that language, so I can have a better
At the end of the day, the request to analyze communications is ultimately about what everything that's existing in this resolution is about, is determining bigotry, discrimination, sexism. I mean, we're looking for misogyny, we're looking for racist language, we're looking for discriminatory language, ableist language, anything that would be unbecoming of a peace officer, a sworn civil servant.
And I guess I'm trying to understand, there's a lot of material, and if we want to get this done faster, we have to have a contract that is as specific as possible with respect to the scope.
I look forward to seeing the amendments that you bring
I don't
to
necessarily
make it more
have one.
specific.
I don't have one for that because I wanted to first understand. I was just trying to understand what the primary goal was from that particular part, because we already know what we're going to find, and so I just wanted to like I think we have a sense of what we're likely to see, and so I want us to spend our resources.
I think we might be talking
outcomes.
about two different things. So to offer some clarity,
Yeah,
this
that's why I'm
additional
asking for the
investigation.
clarity.
So the resolution is calling for two separate investigations. One specifically about allegations for one particular individual, an investigation and audit of the department as a whole and leadership of the department. And so this deeper dive into communications has more to do with the department as a whole, leadership as a whole. In which case, does that offer you some clarity?
I think I understand that. It's just when we actually hire someone to go and do this, they're going to have a clarity about the scope of what they're doing. And I want to make sure that we offer that. And I wasn't able to fully understand what you were asking. And so I'm trying to get some clarity.
So maybe
and
that gives you some clarity, but it also, if you flip all the way sort of towards the be it resolved, the scope, the full scope, is the direction that we're offering the city manager to provide the third-party investigative team. And I haven't been asked any questions for clarity about what my intent there was, but I'm certainly happy to answer the manager if you don't understand what the direction is.
Okay. Maybe we take a look in the meantime and see if there's anything else that needs to be on there. With that said, it's 4:01. 5:30 is music. 6:30, we're going to try and pick back up this meeting. We are in recess.